You're watching Unrendered on IKTV. I'm Tony Regisford, and I'm chatting with Professor Verene Shepherd. She is a historian of note, professor at the University of the West Indies in the Department of History. Professor Shepherd, form of reparations. What form would reparations take? You said it's not just about the money, obviously.
Not only about the money.
Right.
And could I also say, I want to just tag back a little minute, to say that for the past 2 years, and maybe for the next 2 years, I'm a kind of on secondment from the History Department to direct the Institute for Gender Development Studies, right, which is a regional institute, and we have branches all over the UWI, UA 12 kind of thing. Right. And it's one of the reasons why I talk so much about gender issues in the Caribbean right now, and why in my lecture here last month, I focus so much on them. So I just wanted to say that in case my colleagues are watching and saying, she didn't mention the institute. Okay. All right. So I'm saying that even if you're not going to ask for the money itself, the physical money, if you're going to repay a debt, and you say, I don't have the money, but I can give it my ox cart or my donkey, right? You still have to have a value attached to the donkey, Yes. You have to say, let's say the donkey costs 40 EC. Right.
So that's $40 worth of the debt.
But it might not be the entire debt.
Yeah.
And you can say, but you can't give me a donkey when you owe me what would be a cruise ship.
So it can be made up of bits and pieces.
Exactly.
And so essentially what you're saying is that
assign a figure.
You want to negotiate. You want to assign a figure.
Assign a figure so you have an idea of the debt. Right. What is this debt that we're talking about? So assign a figure, and then we say, of course I know you can't pay that figure, or this is not, let us look at the Caribbean. What needs to be fixed here? And let's say we need more schools, we need more hospitals, we need a slavery museum, we need debt write-off, or debt, don't call it debt forgiveness, debt write-off, and in other social infrastructural development. So that's what we want. Also an apology, right? We want repatriation.
What is the significance of the apology?
I think if you have done a wrong, if you wrong people, you should apologize. You should say you're sorry, I think. Not just issue a statement of regret, which circles around the issue. I think it's a Christian way too. It's not how we brought up. I wrong you, I say I'm sorry. I should not have done that. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done it.
What is the reluctance? If for example, Tony Blair, whoever in the past had said that they regret slavery took place. So if you have regretted it and you were the cause of it, what's the
difficulty? You should do something about it. You should, yes. So they must say, I apologize. They're saying we regret it happened in the past. If it was today, we would condemn it. And we condemn it as something but it was legal. They say it was legal at the time.
Yeah, they made it legal.
So they are sorry that that kind of thing happened in the past, and they hope that we will work together to eliminate modern day slavery. And I condemn modern day slavery myself, of course. But we are saying you have not really apologized, and you have not even gone a step further to say our ancestors should not have done that. Our state wronged you. A wrong was done. Yeah. They're stopping short of saying that.
So do you think they're stopping short because they realize that it's an admission and
of guilt? Therefore reparation. Yes. But what is happening now is that people are saying, even without the apology, if we can sit around the table and work out a package that will satisfy or even assuage, go some way in making us reconcile our differences and moving on. In other words, a lot of people say, I can't move on because you haven't even admitted that you did me wrong. So I want to move on, but I'd like you to say you're sorry. Then say you'll never let it happen again, and I'm going to help you to repair the damage that my ancestors did to your ancestors.
Tell me, where does repatriation link with reparation?
Yes. Okay, so Rastafari has kept this argument going for years, by the way. We are just newcomers to it. And they have said, my ancestors were forcefully taken away from Africa. Therefore, I'm over here, not because I wanted to be here. I want to be in Africa because that is my motherland. And really, the fact that I'm born over here doesn't make me any less an African. You took my parents and grandparents and my ancestors away from Africa. Now I'm stuck over here.
Right.
I would like the choice to decide if I want to stay here or I want to go back. So they have asked for repatriation to Africa, not at the expense of regional governments, you know, at the expense of the former colonizers. Right. But there's another form of repatriation, giving us back our documents and artifacts. A lot of our stuff you'll find in the British Museum, in the UK National Archives, and in other archives around the world. And we are saying, you know, all historians...
So you want those repatriated?
All historians have to go to write this history of St. Vincent. You need French documents.
Yes.
You need, in our case, we need Spanish documents. We need English documents. A lot of those things are in Europe. And it's very expensive to make a trip there.
Right.
We would like
we want them back.
And we would like, as I said, a museum where we can display our stuff and talk about the history. Because if governments are faced with choices, they're not going to build a slavery museum if the choice is between a school and a slavery museum. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even though you say Caribbean government should fix what's wrong here, a lot of what's wrong here, they don't have the ability to fix because they inherited such a big debt that is difficult. And they have to make certain choices. And they choose what they think is, you know.
Yes. You know, I can go on talking about reparations, but the program is not just about that.
Yes.
As you talk about repatriation, I wanted to ask you, and I will ask you about the business of Ethiopia. Didn't Haile Selassie make available lands for Rastas to from the Caribbean to go back? And
yes, the Rastas negotiated.
Yes.
Yes, at Sashamani.
What
that exists there still, but I'm told that now there's you know, with new administration, new governments, new demands, they're kind of fighting for it to be kind of clear that it cannot be reversed.
Right.
You know, so they're fighting for some legal title and claim to it. Because I think there's controversy now and some dispute over it. And they're fighting to hold on to it as something that was granted to them. But other African countries are promised land, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, Ghana, I think. I'm not sure of all of them. But there are African countries that are willing. Rita Marley is living in Ghana.
Okay.
You see, so there are people who have gone back. But it's a quiet movement.
Right.
But some people think it's critical. And it's also critical for us to visit, for us to go, because we have to destabilize this door of no return thing.
Yes.
Because you know at the dungeons, there's a door.
Yes.
Once our ancestors were marched through that door, it was closed, never coming back.
Yes.
But of course, some of us have gone back to look at those very places.
Yes.
And so I say to people, get educated on the issue. I think if they're educated on the issue, they may still hold the view that I don't want to bother with it, but I think more people would say it's a just cause. It's a just cause.
Let's roll some imperatives off quickly. Let me suggest to you that the post-independence imperatives you're talking about, I want to see if you've got this one as the question of your identity.
Yes.
Who you are. You know, and I know you would because you're a historian. Now, you've got people bleaching their skins.
Right.
You know, 99% of the young ladies who walk around Kingstown today do not have their natural hair. You know, and it's almost like an accepted thing.
Right.
It's either relaxed or it's weaves.
It's HBO, here by others.
Right. Are these some of the imperatives?
Yeah. Identity is one of the imperatives. It's a post-independence imperative. A lot of people are disconnected from their past, and therefore they are struggling for an identity. And anyone that is out there that looks attractive to them, they will embrace it. And I think it's because of lack of education and history education. So that's one of the imperative. Yes, skin bleaching. I think we have to let our people understand it, and men are doing it too, by the way. That is it's dangerous medically, and the dermatologists have been telling them that they have to stop it. So on all fronts, they should stop it.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the underlying issue here is the fact that they would think about it because you're not satisfied with the skin color that you've been given.
But some of the young people say, I am doing it because the society that my elders have left for me to live in is a society that is hierarchical and that gives favors and better jobs and better opportunities to people who have left
that may
in
be
shade.
so. That may be so.
So they are saying, I know I'm black and I'm proud to be black.
Yeah.
However, when I tell you I'm proud to be black, you're not giving me a job at the front desk.
Yes.
So what you want me to do? Starve?
Yes.
Be black and proud and starve?
Yes.
This is what some of the young, I'm just saying,
that's one of the
arguments that they are putting up. So that is why I say that it's a post-independence imperative is education, and culturally relevant education, so that our people can be anchored to an empowering past and feel proud about who they are. But another imperative is social justice in our society, so that people feel accepted whatever color they are. You know, we have to do that. And at the United Nations, and I'm chair of the working group of experts on people of African descent, and we are pushing for a decade for people of African descent. And the CARICOM countries have not embraced it. CARICOM leaders, in the same way they went to the UN and talked about reparation, all of them. Only one prime minister I heard, and it's the Prime Minister of Jamaica, who said, I support the decade for people of African descent. It's not a reality yet. It's stuck in the GA because we don't have enough people supporting it. And you're telling me that the GRULAC region, that is Latin America and the Caribbean, can't go to the UN and push this through? There is EU opposition to it. The EU, the UK, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, these are blocking. These are some of the countries that their representatives have said they're not supporting it. And the decade is precisely to address these things. And the decade is not only for people of African descent. The decade is to give everybody an opportunity to work out these issues to eliminate racism.
Right.
Because at the root of it is racism that is causing these problems. Racism, anti-black discrimination, xenophobia, and other intolerance. This is what is creating the injustices and the tensions that we're having in our society. So my lecture was about trying to tell CARICOM and our people in the region that there is the plan for this decade. CARICOM should support it, and this is why.
Yes.
Going through education, justice, and the theme is recognition, justice, development, and the reparation is part of the development part.
How much does religion have or has played a part in dividing people, really, and taking them away from, their central identity? Is it something that you've studied? Is it something that you've looked at?
Religion has played a role, and again, it's about intolerance. We don't accept all the religions of the world. We believe you must be this one. And if you're not that one, I'm going to fight you for it. It goes back to the Crusades,
yes, well, the Christian Crusades.
Exactly.
Yes.
And also the move by the spread of Islam too, and the contest between Christianity and Islam. And we in this region, we have inherited this view that if you're not a Christian, then everybody else is a heathen. Yeah. That's why we think our ancestors are primitive and they were atheists and,
that's
blah,
why I
blah.
asked the question, because our ancestors did not come
Absolutely,
here as
right.
And
they have their beliefs, they had their beliefs, and we must respect whatever it is they believed in. But the missionaries have done a good job on us,
Well, precisely so.
Yeah.
Because my reason for asking you the question is that if you start from the nucleus of the thing, if you're a people that when you arrived here, brought here under captivity to begin with, but when you're then taught, generations after, you're taught that this is the religion that you should adopt. In fact, if you don't adopt this religion, then you're not civilized,
that's
really.
Right. Yeah.
So this has been drummed into our heads.
Two things drummed into our heads. So the missionary zeal and the dominance of Christianity, the Christian religion, the feeling that everybody else has a wrong religion, and then because the schools were missionary schools, they also got missionary education. And a lot of that was about European beliefs and ideas.
Right.
And we are still struggling to come out of
So
that.
there's a lot of untangling to do.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
yes.
there's work way beyond your lifetime, my lifetime.
Yes, yes, yes.
So how do we sustain all of this? What is the plan? What is the program? Does UE have something? I mean, UE is an institution which I feel has a pivotal role to play in shaping the Caribbean and the minds of Caribbean people.
But UE has been doing this for over 60 years. You know, UE was there before independence. UE has no, in fact, this is why we're where we are now, because UE has produced a group of people who are trying to educate our nation. But UE is 60 plus years old. I mean, we look at between 1492 and when UE was established, you see? All of those hundreds of years, the people who were trying to socialize us, our ancestors, and they have passed on what they knew to us. I mean, you know, they tried to eliminate everything African, you know. The names, they eliminate the names, they eliminate the culture, and they were Muslims, by the way, who were here before some of the Christians, meaning there were some enslaved Africans who were from Muslim areas, right? So they tried to, even the drums they tried to stop, right? And the religious beliefs and rituals and practices they called heathenish, paganish, and so they tried to stamp them out. And anything like Obia, they now say it's not, you know, or the kind of Shouter Baptist, Shaker Baptist, you know, the kind of Poker religion that we used to call it in Jamaica. Anything that was African, they tried to say it was inferior and pagan and uncivilized. So our children, you know, generations have grown up with that. So it's a long struggle. It's a long struggle, and as you've correctly identified, it has to do with education. Education. So UE just has to continue with people who are there and who are trying to give the alternative view or the revisionist view of our history. But I want to say that we have been doing it for years because you have all these thinkers. Look at C.L.R. James. Right. You know, Camo Brathwaite, Elsa Govaya, Laming, Walt. Look at Eric Williams. Eric Williams and Rodney. They told us. They told us what was the truth. But we have chosen not to believe. Let me just throw this one out again for you, Professor. My experience has been in the 70s in particular, right? It was a period of black consciousness. It seems as if a lot of ground was made, you know, between the 70s, early 80s, but more the 70s, you know, emergence of people like Bob Marley and, you know, all that. Peter Tosh. All this is happening at the same time. There was the Black Power movement in the United States, Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, etc. What has happened? Because we had regime change, and the 80s, I think, did it. You had a group of conservative people coming in the 80s. It was the era of Thatcher and Reagan and so on. And I think they just tried to push another way, a kind of Republican kind of, you know, thinking. And in some countries, there was no more emancipation celebration. In Jamaica, it only came back in 1997. In fact, I think it was recently that people are not doing history. Exactly. Right. Back to the day itself. So there was a gap. So there was this gap, right? Because of people turning back the civil rights and Black Power movement. And that has what has, if we had continued, we wouldn't be here. That's the point. Trying to stress that right. Isn't it also true to say that some of the advocates themselves became very elitist? Isn't it true to say? As they got more educated, they separated themselves more. They see elitism and they see themselves as not really African. Yes. And because of that, they have lost sight of themselves. Professor Shepherd, it's been a pleasure having you on my program. Thank you so much. You've got a lot of work to do. Yes. I wish there's some way I can help you, but the heroes and heroines of the past never gave up, and neither should we. You keep on. Thank you. Thanks a lot for coming. This has been another edition of Unrendered. My guest was Professor Verene Shepherd. Thank you for viewing.